What is up, guys? Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kevin Crates. This is the channel where we go over crypto news followed by 5 charts every day. Today we're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol, Quant, and AXS. And as always, timestamps are down in the description below. Make sure that subscribe button and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. The market has been all over the place the last few days. Bitcoin continuing to battle to try and hang on to that 40,000 level. Ethereum pushing towards 2,600 and sliding back now. Polkadot having a great few days, up around 34% this week. We have Terra Luna also up around 45% this week. Some things are still hanging in there as Bitcoin starts to show a bit of a sign of a pullback, but how much of a pullback we see across the market is going to depend on how much of a pullback Bitcoin ends up showing us. We're going to skip over today's news. I apologize for that, but I do want to get back to the market myself. If Bitcoin is going to be showing some signs of a pullback, I'm going to be looking for some short positions and possibly even some long positions on a bounce. However, I did want to touch on DPET's 4-hour chart with you guys. For those of you who aren't new here, you know I've been talking about DPET forever. I've been involved since around $1. I tweeted about it around $2, and I bring it up all the time, but I'm currently not liking what I see on the 4-hour chart. And to keep things always transparent with you guys, we're going to talk about what I'm seeing on this chart that I'm not liking and what my personal plans are going forward with that. So at the time of filming this right now, DPET's trading around $7.31, and we're looking at the 4-hour chart. And what I'm not liking about the 4-hour chart at the moment is ever since all this bullish momentum that we see here, where it started around just under $1, everything has been riding above the Kumo cloud and looking bullish. But for the first time, it is now pushed through the Kumo cloud, and we're seeing an indication of a possible trend change. Not to mention, if this baseline and lagging span pop through, I would not be surprised to see DPET drop to anywhere for $4 to $5. Now, again, this is not going to happen for sure. This is just how it looks to me. And since I'm personally invested at the moment in DPET, I'm going to talk about my own strategy going forward over the next 24, 48 hours and how I'm going to be approaching this. So first, let's talk about why price action might be moving this way and why things may be looking a little bearish right now for DPET. And in my opinion, that is correlated to AXS. If you guys watched yesterday's video, and if you're new here, you can go back and watch it. AXS's chart was starting to look shaky to me. We talked about it, and we do see AXS pushing down in price slightly. I still think it could bounce probably around $38 to $35. But if AXS starts to move towards $30, I think we're going to see that ripple through the entire NFT marketplace. And the reason I say that is because, in my opinion, I've said this a few times, that AXS has become the Bitcoin of the NFT gaming space. The higher AXS is pushed, which is pretty high considering where it was a month ago, the higher it has raised the market cap for NFT gaming, including its own market cap. So as far as price action goes across all these other games, every time AXS pumps, we see Sand pump, we see Alice pump, we see DPET pump, we see a lot of these NFT games pump. And we're going to look at AXS's chart at the end of the video like we always do. I just want to focus on DPET's 4-hour chart because I want to keep it 100% with you guys like I always do, and be honest that if this price trends any lower, I'm going to exit my position. And if things shoot up without me in the next 24 hours, I'm okay with that. I don't care. I'll buy back at a higher price and ride the wave in that direction. But I'm not going to ride the wave down in price, because what I'm seeing as far as indicators go on this 4-hour chart is not the best indication of price action as far as bullish indication goes, because what I'm seeing on this chart as far as setups go is what I would look for a short setup. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean price action is just going to trend down. I mean, a short setup or a bullish setup are not always 100% accurate. But as far as price action goes, considering this is a small project, considering a lot of this price action is hype, considering the fact they don't even have a full game out yet, if price action trends any lower, I will most likely exit my position. I'm still very bullish on DPET. I'm just not bullish on this chart, and I just want to let you all know as far as price action goes, I'm not liking what I'm seeing, and if price action trends too low towards $7, I'm going to exit my position and look for a re-entry at some point. However, if prices manage to trend back up above $750 and try and retest this area of around $790, I'll still be in my position. Everything is still looking okay for now, but it's not looking great anymore. So still bullish on DPET, just not so bullish on this chart. Looking at Bitcoin's daily chart, let's zoom in here, turn on our notes from the other day, and finally we have a red candle that makes sense. Yesterday's red candle was still pretty much a green candle in my opinion, but as far as price action goes, we finally have a red candle that makes sense, and we see prices pushing down in price. We talked about a pullback to 40,000, that's been hit. My pullback target is still 38.5, and I'm pretty sure prices are pretty much headed there at this point. Let's look at the 4-hour chart real quick. Looking at the 4-hour chart, finally some indication of prices pulling down. You can see here it's dropped below the baseline. Conversion line is still above the baseline, but I would not be too surprised to see that cross on a retest. So Bitcoin will probably retest 40.5 potentially, if even that, and then it should get rejected there. Conversion line should come through, baseline should go above, and then the initial price target that we can keep an eye out for, let me just grab a price label here. It's just around here on 38.6. So 38.5 is still the initial pullback target that we'll be looking at. And if we jump to the daily chart, we can take a better look from there. So 38.5 is going to be a big one for me. I'd pretty much assume at this point, considering the way price action has been moving, we should see a bounce at 38.5, potentially a retest of around 40, maybe even 39.5. And then we can figure things out from there. But for the time being, this has been too many green candles in a row. Prices had to pull back, but my price target is still going to be 38.5. We talked about it a lot yesterday. If you guys missed that video, make sure to go watch it. We kind of went straight through the details of what Bitcoin's done over the last few months. But as far as price action goes for now, I'm just going to keep my eye on that 38.5 target. If it loses 38.5, then I'll start keeping my eye on 37.5 and 36.5 below that. But 38.5 is going to be such a key indication of where this trend is headed. If this uptrend is going to continue, 38.5 is going to be that bouncing point, in my opinion, where it'll retest 40K, potentially claim it and go up from there. But if it can't hang on to 38.5, that is when we should see things get pretty bearish. A retest of around 37.5 to 36.5 would not shock me. The lowest price target I keep my eye on is right around here, around 3600. So as far as 36,000, sorry, as far as price action goes, I'm gonna leave that out of the conversation for now and just keep my eye on these price targets. The 38.5 is gonna be the big pullback target that's gonna indicate which way prices are headed. From there, I'll keep my eye on 37.5 and 36.5. Resistance levels now are around 40,000, 42,000, and 43,000. But the pullback target for the time being that I'll be keeping my eye on is around 38.5. Looking at Ethereum's daily chart, let's zoom in, turn on our notes from the other day. Ethereum showing the kind of strength we'd expect to see going into the London hard fork. Not quite getting out of the Kumo cloud like Bitcoin did, but did it ever challenge it yesterday? As far as price action goes, a bit of a pullback here is necessary. If it can consolidate in this area, pull a Bitcoin, right? Cheat the system, just kind of stay in this area like Bitcoin did for a few days, and then just pop out in the same range. Ethereum's got room to run, and I would not be surprised to see that be the situation considering everything we saw Bitcoin do the last few days, considering all those green candles. And this red candle on Ethereum is not the same as this red candle on Bitcoin. So as far as price action goes, Ethereum's still looking very bullish, trend change on the daily. As far as price action goes, that's just the resistance level we got to watch, 2600 pretty much. If Ethereum can trade well above 2620, Ethereum is in a bullish area and it could make a push for around 2800. So let's take a look at the 4-hour chart real quick. Looking at the 4-hour chart on Ethereum, still looking better than Bitcoin. So it has finally happened after many days of wondering why Bitcoin was outperforming Ethereum. We do see some signs that Ethereum is slightly outperforming Bitcoin finally. And as long as it can stay up in this range, kind of stay above this price target. I mean, at the lowest dropped around 2482. But Ethereum above 2482, still very bullish. You can see here Kumo cloud looking great. Conversion line, baseline, nice and far apart. Lagging span way out there. Stochastic RSI coming nice and low, giving room for a bit of a pump in the next few days. I think Ethereum looks good leading into the London hard fork, and we may finally see Ethereum branch off from Bitcoin. And anything can happen after the London hard fork. So as far as price targets go, let's jump back to the daily. 4-hour looks great for Ethereum. Ethereum looking much more bullish than Bitcoin at this moment. So as far as price targets go, same as yesterday, it's got to get above that 2620 price range, build a support there and push up for around 2800, but it can stay in this range for the next day or so, just like Bitcoin did, and then just pop out of the Kumo cloud right here and then make a push for 2800. So price targets for the time being for Ethereum, build support above 2600 strong and make a push for 2800. As far as pullback targets, I keep my eye on 2470. Below that, I keep my eye on 2345, and below that, I keep my eye on 2200. And then those very low ranges for Ethereum are just around 1950 to 2000. We'll kind of leave that out of the conversation for now. So price targets for the time being, got to get above 2600, build support, push for 2800. Pullback targets anywhere from 2320 to 2200. Actually, let me add one more pullback target here. This would be the main one, 2407. So 2407 would be the initial pullback target. Below that, I keep my eye on 2300 to 2200. Looking at Solana's daily chart, Solana is one of my favorite plays. One of the few things I've actually added to my spot wallet, including some Ethereum throughout the crash over the last few months. As far as price action goes, let's turn on the notes from the last time we talked about Solana. Solana's looking very bullish, back up in the 30s. Solana's going to get back above 38, but it could cheat the system, kind of stay in this range and pop out here around 34. It does have a decent amount of support around 33. As far as price targets go, let's jump over to the 4-hour chart, get a more clear picture. Looking at the 4-hour chart, pullback targets would be around 32. It's already below the conversion line, so it's got to get back above 34.3 and stay there strong and push up in price. Below that, I keep my eye on around a pull down to around 32.1. And anything below that would be 30 or below. If Solana is below $30, it means Bitcoin is crashing. Solana is a very bullish play. Solana does not go down in price, in my opinion, because of Solana. Solana goes down in price because of Bitcoin. And in my opinion, Solana would be much higher up in price if it wasn't for all of Bitcoin's price action. But for the time being, anytime Solana dips, I think that's great. I'm always looking to pick up more Solana. I wouldn't pick any up around $30. I like to usually pick up Solana in the low 20s, but it may not get there. Around $22 to $25 is a good range for Solana. I mean, some lucky people got some around under $20, 19 and 18 here. As far as price action goes, you can see here if I turn off all these notes, Kumo Cloud on the daily is not even that thick as far as Solana goes, and prices are pretty much always above the 200 EMA, pretty much similar to Cardano. Very bullish looking charts. You can see here it wants to turn bullish, but the market is currently not letting it. So as far as price targets go, it's got to get above that 38, push up in price. From there is where Solana gets very bullish, but if it can manage to stay in this range with Ethereum, kind of pop out in that $34, $35 range, it's got a shot to push for around $37 to $38 or above. Pullback targets, I keep my eye on around $31 to $30, but personally, I'm always looking for Solana in these lower price targets of around 25, 22.5, and you know, if any of those lucky days come across where Solana is below $20, 18 to 19. So price targets for the time being for Solana, it's got to get above 38.6 or 0.7 to get very bullish. As far as price action goes, if it can manage to stay in this range of around $33 to $34, it can pop out from there and make a push up in price. Pullbacks would be around $31 to $30. Below that, 25.5 to 22.5. Looking at Quant's daily chart, let's zoom in here. This is Quant's Binance daily chart, which is why we got to drop the time frames until we get to about an hour, I believe, to get a decent amount of information. I'm going to explain why we're focusing on Binance Quant chart and not Binance on the other exchanges. It's because Binance shot up in, or not Binance, sorry, Quant shot up in price as soon as it got listed on Binance. From the open, it went from around $100, which was actually trading below $100 before the Binance listing, but the hype of Binance listing it obviously pushed prices up. As soon as it listed on Binance, just shot straight up to around 157, and it's just been pumping up in price ever since. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy Quant at $179 because Quant is just going to be that first crypto that just keeps going up in a straight line and never has any large correction. And there's a small amount of it in circulation. And no, like the real truth about this stuff, in my opinion, is that Quant is pumping because of the Binance listing. And there's a lot of stuff to take into consideration as far as price action goes. And a lot of this is inflated at the moment, a lot of hype. And the low circulation thing is true, don't get me wrong. But let's talk about price action and why the low circulation thing is just really not that big of a deal. So those of you who are not new here know that I used to be a penny stock trader. And the thing about penny stocks, aside from the fact that a lot of them are scams, in my opinion, but also a lot of them just don't deliver on their promises, is that you generally want to look for a penny stock with a low float. So to keep things simple, a float is pretty much like a circulating supply. A low circulating supply means that it doesn't take a lot of money to move something up very fast. But at the exact same time, a low circulating supply means it doesn't take a lot of selling to drop something in price very fast as well. So as far as price action goes with Quant, why is Quant pumped from a little bit below $100 to around $80 all the way up to around $200 in such an odd condition considering what the market is in? And that is the fact that Quant got listed on Binance. And when something gets listed on Binance, that is huge, especially something as bullish as Quant, because Quant is a great project. I'm not saying that it's not. So there's two possibilities of what we're looking at in terms of price action here. One is that this was completely inflated by Binance and the amount of trading that happens on Binance and a lot of hype, and the fact that Quant does have a low circulating supply. So people who trade and people who want to push something up in price know that if we all just pour into it, that will continue to push price up. But at some point, there's going to be a lot of profit taking. Now, the other situation that could be happening here is that there's a lot of behind the scenes institutional investing in quant that maybe I don't know about, or maybe that we don't know about. So as far as price action goes, we're going to take those two thoughts into consideration and talk about potential price targets just based off the Binance chart. So let's start putting support lines down and take a look on just the 1 hour chart, because there's not a lot of information as far as the daily chart goes with quant, because quant has not been trading on Binance long enough for us to figure out what is going on in terms of price action. Now, I don't expect this to drop below $100 again anytime soon. But as far as price action goes, I don't really expect this to keep pushing up in price. That long wick on the hourly, bit of an indication that we're starting to finally see some push down in price. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that quant can't keep pushing up in price. Maybe there's institutional investors that I don't know about, but I'm going to go with probability and say that that's probably not the case for the time being. And if it is the case, then quant's going to skyrocket, and at some point there should be some kind of correction or somewhere that I could find to hop in. But I'm not getting involved in this at the moment as far as price action goes, but I would like to get more involved in quant considering everything going on. So as far as price targets go, I'm going to keep my eye on these. 171 is going to be that initial price target, and as prices dip below 171, depending how fast they dip below 171, I'd start to look for a pullback to 163. Now, 163 is going to be an interesting one for me in that 160 range, because as it starts to lose that 160 range or react to it, will tell me if quant is finally losing steam, because it's going to have to lose steam at some point. This is all Binance hype as far as I'm concerned, unless there's some investors that I don't know about as far as quant price action goes. But in my opinion, this is all just hype driving this for the time being. So at some point, we're going to have to see this slow down. So 171 is going to be that initial pullback target for now. Below that, 163 is going to be the second pullback target I will be keeping my eye on. And then I'm going to keep an eye on these indicators to see how things go over the hourly chart. But as far as price targets go, 153 is going to be that big one. As prices approach 153, if they drop below 150, then that's my green light. The quant is finally having a correction off of this insane hype-driven pump. So I keep my eye on around 148. Anything below 148, keep my eye on around 143. And from there, I think this is a good area for quant down here around 125. 125 will be an interesting area for quant. I think it has a lot of support there. You can see all this price action here. A lot of this is just hype at this point, in my opinion. But again, that could be wrong. As far as price action goes, like I say many times, you can't predict these things. But as far as probability goes, this is going to have to slow down at some point. And in my opinion, that point is going to have to come soon, because I think this is just too crazy for quant to go from around $60 to $80 in a very short time to all the way around $200. And the Binance listing was the catalyst, as we all know, very visually clear here since this is the Binance chart. So as far as price targets go, I'm looking for a 125 quant, and that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to enter there. It just means I'm looking for a 125 quant, and I'm going to look to see how price action goes. Now, again, all these targets are just based off this very short time frame that I have to look at for the time being, and there's no reason that quant can't keep pumping, because if I turn all this off, this is still a bullish setup, minus that wick down, but considering how much it's moved up in price, there's nothing wrong with that wick. Conversion line, baseline, nice and far apart. Everything looks good, to be honest. Stochastic RSI has room to pump. RSI is sky high in uptrend zone. Everything just looks good on quant, in my opinion, for the time being, except for the fact that at some point it's going to have to slow down. It's going to have to pull back, and there's going to have to be a correction, in my opinion. So the price targets, I will be keeping an eye on 171, 163, 153, 150 and below. Get some indication that we're finally seeing the correction on quant, and I'll probably be waiting for something more around 125. And to be honest, I don't think quant will be going back down below $100, and that is just the fact that with the Binance volume, with all the new holders, and there is a low circulating supply, and quant is not a bad project, there is no reason why quant can't keep pumping or maintain a lot of this price action. But I felt we should talk about quant because we can't ignore the fact that this price has just been booming ever since it came out on Binance a few days ago. And quant is a great project, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, as far as my getting involved in price action with quant, not for the time being. If anything, I'd be looking for prices to trend down. So those are the price targets I'll keep an eye out for, but quant could push above $200. I mean, everything looks good, but it's starting to show a bit of signs of losing steam. Not enough for me to say that it's definitely losing steam, but I'll be keeping an eye on pullbacks 171, 163 below that. 150 is going to be the big one. 148 indication that finally big correction on quant. And then from there, I think it's got a lot of support in the 125 to 130 range. And that is the area I would look for quant. Yeah, 125 to 131, I think, is where quant has a very decent amount of support. And I think some of this may just be hype. But again, quant could keep pumping, but my price targets for quant are going to be much lower. But keep an eye on around 150 to 125. Looking at AXS's daily chart, let's zoom in here before we turn the notes on from yesterday. So we did talk about AXS showing potential signs of slowing down. You can see here it's dropped below the conversion line, but that is a decent candle on the daily. If we jump over to the 4-hour chart, and also stochastic RSI in the mid-range, not too bad. RSI still in uptrend zone. I mean, it still doesn't look terrible. 4-hour chart indicating a bit of a downtrend. As far as the 4-hour chart goes, things don't look terrible just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised to see AXS dip down to those price targets we talked about yesterday. If we turn these notes on, 35.7 is going to be that big one where we drew that X. I think AXS, if it does continue to push down in price, 35.7 is where we could see that big bounce in price. And we're just like we saw around $18, I believe, or $16 last time. But as far as AXS goes, it's still such a bullish project, but it is showing a bit of a downtrend, but not so much. I mean, you have to think about how much AXS has pumped in price. A bit of a correction is always necessary, but it is showing signs that I would be cautious, especially going into any long positions for the time being. I wouldn't be surprised to see AXS continue to trend down. It did trend lower than what we talked about yesterday because AXS was looking a little rough yesterday. Dropped all the way down to around 37.3, but a nice, strong bounce, showing a lot of bullish momentum. But I am still seeing some indication of a downtrend. You can see here the Kumo cloud still nice and wide on the 1 hour, 2 hour. Let's look at the 3 hour, 4 hour. So it's showing signs of a downtrend. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue. I mean, with how much AXS has pumped in price, a lot of different things can happen, but it's got to get back above here. It's got to get it back above $42, $43, and really it's got to get it back above $45. But if price action can push back above $42, $43, and we talked about that yesterday out here as well, if price action can get back above $43, AXS is in a bullish state, but right now it's $41, and my price target on a pullback is going to be around 35.7. Anything below that would be around 33. I don't think AXS is going to drop below 30. If it drops below 30, that could be a big bouncing area in my opinion. I don't think AXS, if we turn all this off, $30 would be around here. And that doesn't really make sense in the movement of this chart. It could have a big bounce there, but I'd be very shocked to see AXS go below 30. I'd be shocked to see it go below 33. But as far as price targets go, pullbacks, I keep my eye on 35.7. Below that, the lowest 33.9. Anything below that in AXS might have a bit of an aggressive dip. But as far as price action above that, it's got to get back above 43.2. And once it's back above 45, I would not be shocked to see AXS push back into the 50s. Price targets for the time being, got to get above 43, 45 and above bullish. Pullback targets 35.7 and 33.9. All right, folks, that's all for today. If there's any charts you want to look at in the future, leave it down in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. If you're not following me on Twitter, KevinCrates_ on Twitter. I'm extremely active on there. Anytime you tweet at me, I will always tweet back at you. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'm out.